The new shot heard around the world is waking up the right and has leftist lunatics on the chopping block with their employers all across the nation, including some media pundits. Welcome to 10 Minutes of Truth with Barrett and Baxa.
You're listening to Barrett and Baxa. Real stories, raw takes, and the slow, strange death of traditional media.
All right, top story, of course, is the brutal and shocking assassination hit on one of the most well-known media figures in the U.S., the late, great Charlie Kirk, killed last week. So sad, Bob.
And you know, the thing that I'm most feeling like, I was super enraged on Wednesday, and now it's several days later, I've calmed down, and now I feel like what Charlie wants from us is not so much anger as love, and to try to, you know, talk about our Christian faith, talk about love, talk about what he was trying to accomplish. So I've gotten past my anger, and now I do still feel sadness, but I also feel resolve. And I want to keep his message and our message going and keep it, you know, out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad. And it was also sad to see that, you know, anything that you posted online, like there was so much emotion, so much fighting, you almost just had to remove yourself from it. And, you know, I got to admit, I got caught up in it a little bit, and I was angry. And, you know, I debated people online, but I think we're getting to the point where we've got to get back or past things like that. So, yeah. But vigils have been happening like since it happened, nationwide, even worldwide, in major cities and college campuses, of course, where Kirk was absolutely beloved by so many college students because of his dedication to free speech and for many of his core Christian values.
But on the left, as you might expect, there are plenty of people who chose to disgustingly celebrate Kirk's murder right in front of several thousand college students at one of the Turning Point USA Q&A sessions for which he's become famous.
Well, almost immediately before anyone knew he would live or die, media personalities started weighing in on the shooting, including what I find the most disgusting display, that coming from a guy named Matthew Dowd on MSNBC. I'm going to give you his comments in two clips coming up. We'll get right to them. And these are two clips that essentially got him fired very quickly.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
I got to say, this freaking guy, man. All right, it's now days later. And to be fair, when he said that, we didn't even know if Charlie was dead. He could have gotten shot in the arm. It could be a superficial wound. Matthew Dowd did not know. So to be fair to him, he didn't know Charlie was dead. But this idiot is really saying that a Turning Point event could be thousands of people showing up and what? Being like, yeehaw, go Charlie, pew, pew, we love you, Charlie, bang,
yeah,
bang.
Like it's New Year's Eve or something.
Yeah, like, dude, seriously? This is what you're saying? And now he has doubled down on that and said, you know, it could have been his supporters. We didn't know. Like, you're an idiot.
But
Shut up.
For Dowd, that wasn't the end of it. He actually went even further. Let me go a little bit ahead on this clip and play what he said next.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
That, I think, is what got him fired.
Correct. In other words, it's Charlie's fault. And I say this then, I say it now, I will say it 2 weeks from now and 20 years from now. You cannot find me, Charlie, saying something hateful. And in clip after clip after clip, people, students usually would come up to the microphone, they would say crazy stuff, and Charlie would react with love and compassion and explain, and look, this is why I believe it. And what infuriated the left is that he came at it from a biblical point of view with Christian values. And I heard a fantastic quote today. It apparently came from Denzel Washington. They hate us because our spirit irritates their demons. And that is absolutely 100% true.
I had not heard that. But
apparently Denzel Washington is now a pastor. I just heard this today. He gave up Hollywood and has become a pastor. I did not know that. I don't have confirmation on that, but that's what my pastor at the church we go to told us today in his sermon. So I tend to believe he's accurate on that.
All right. Well, back to this guy, Matthew Dowd. Not only was he fired from MSNBC, but he was uninvited by Cumberland University, where he was supposed to give a lecture. Obviously, nobody wants to be lectured from a guy like this. One of the other points that I'd like to make is that Matthew Dowd, okay, here's who this guy is. He once was the chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney campaign in 2004, and he's one of these figures that has changed his stripes completely. He ran for lieutenant governor of Texas in 2021 as a Democrat then, and now makes obviously foolish comments that are totally tone deaf and get him fired. Yeah, MSNBC did have something to say about it. This is the statement and this is from the MSNBC Public Relations Office. Statement from MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler. During our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statements, and he has. There's no place for violence, they say, in America, political or otherwise. And this was posted on X. One person on X also pointed out that MSNBC did not put this on the main MSNBC account. They put it on the MSNBC Public Relations account. So that is an interesting take on that.
Yeah, that is. He's a typical rhino where he used to be a Republican and now he's clearly a Democrat. Nicole Wallace is another very prominent one who used to be a Republican. But these people that say they were Republicans, I mean, everything they believe is left wings. Good riddance. Get rid of that guy, MSNBC. I don't give them any credit for this. They had to do this because of the firestorm. So it's not like they get a cookie or something for firing this guy. They needed to. Yeah.
And, well, it's interesting they took action against this guy, but they took no action at all against anchor Katy Tur, who was kind of nodding along with him. And you see that often when he makes a statement on one of these channels, and the anchors are just nodding along in agreement for him. She said very similar things, seeming to point the finger at Kirk. And I want to give a listen to that clip as well.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure. Polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next.
So just her saying that, obviously she's doubling down on what Dowd said, and there was no consequence for her. You know, there never is a consequence.
He's not divisive. Yeah. He's not divisive.
Yeah, he's not divisive. And why are you bringing that up? Why do you immediately have to, even before we find out that he has died, why do we find out, or why do you have to say things like that?
Because she agrees with what he said previously, and she's just as bad as he is, and she should also be fired. So there you go.
And Bob, there's a growing list of firings, suspensions, and other disciplinary actions, and we want to bring you that as well. You can check out, in fact, the next episode of Barrett and Baxa. In that episode, you're going to see and hear shocking video of Office Depot workers who refuse to make posters for a vigil to pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. You can imagine those workers have been fired, and Office Depot, Office Max, is licking their wounds on that one. So, all right, before we go, we want to mention the changes afoot for the podcast. We want to welcome you to something new. These are shorter mini podcasts that you can digest at your leisure, one at a time if you want, or you can binge on them. It's kind of a leaner but not necessarily meaner Barrett and Baxa.
In the meantime, click subscribe. Please share with friends. Click the comments. Tell us what you think. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Rumble, all the others. Thanks, everybody. That's your 10 minutes of truth with Barrett and Baxa.
Well, that's it for this episode of Barrett and Baxa. Like, subscribe, and do all that other stuff podcasts want you to do.